All right, let's talk Manchester United now. Harry Maguire has called himself arguably one of the best defenders in the world in both boxes. Now, speaking after signing a new one-year contract extension at Manchester United, Maguire highlighted the positives he brings to the team at both ends of the pitch. This is what he has said. I still believe, even at my age, I'm arguably one of the best defenders in the world in both boxes. I don't think that's in question, really, that I can be really effective later on in games, whether you're holding on to a lead or trying to chase a game. What are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with that, what you're saying?
Brilliant. Brilliant from Harry Maguire. Some eyebrows raised, maybe, from certain people in terms of getting that new contract, an extra year with an option of a second. But he's come right back into form. I think he shows unbelievable courage at times to handle some of the doubters and some of the kind of things that are said about him over the last 4 or 5 years, especially when he was certainly out of form, but still has been super professional, always turned up, never hidden. And this is his chance because he's got that contract to go, do you know what, I'm just going to drop this in, by the way. And backing himself, you do have to back yourself as a player. I'm not sure there's many that would want to go up against him in both boxes. It kind of makes me think, well, what do you think about yourself outside of the box, in the middle of part of the pitch?
Yeah, he was very specific.
When he's got someone running in behind him with pace. But that's not in question the fact that he is fantastic in both. And he has bailed Manchester United out a good few times with his ability, certainly in attacking areas when the strikers weren't firing, and it's him that's had to deliver in those moments. So fair play to him. I think he's trying to back himself. He's trying to prove that some of the doubters wrong. And I just love his character. I love the fact that he's always ready to show up no matter what's said about him. And that to me shows a genuine leader and the type of player Manchester United need. And
not just Manchester United, but is this a reason why he should be, right in there with England?
Yeah, it's probably another reason why he's said it. He was obviously used in the recent internationals, him and Dan Burn, to be up there and be a threat in the opposition penalty area, and that's where England's chances came from at the end of the game was his ability to be useful in that area, and that will be something that England, I'm sure, will need at some stage of the World Cup. But I think domestically, I think what he's done is he's grown in confidence again with the help of Michael Carrick, who's I think given him his confidence back, and he's actually been very, very good in the recent games for Manchester United.
Maguire's also said that he's seen some of his teammates find the spotlight of Old Trafford too big to handle. We hear this a lot when you put that Manchester United shirt on. It sits heavy on your shoulders. Can you understand that?
Yeah, because many have fallen by the wayside and haven't been able to handle that. Some big signings, big names have not delivered at Manchester United in the last 10 years or so. Look, people can criticise some of his performances, some moments in certain games, some mistakes he's made. I'm sure he would admit to that. But you've still got to turn up. You've got to front up. There was times when he fronted up for interviews when no one else really wanted to do that. In really difficult moments for the club and the way the team were playing, he was always front and centre in those moments, and I applaud him for that, because it could be easy just to fold away and think, well, I had a great time at Manchester United, but actually I'm going to drop down. No, he's stuck to it, and I just think he's the type of player, probably until you play with him, play against him, you don't realise what great attributes he actually does have. And one of those is actually coming out with the ball. He's fantastic with the ball at his feet and his distribution. That's something that, again, has probably just not been looked at as much as it should have been.
Yeah, he's definitely resilient, isn't he? And this,
yes.
this just shows
he's
it.
He's needed to be.
Yeah, he's been through it all whilst at the club. But as you say, he's been ever present under Michael Carrick and signed this new deal this week. Deserved?
Yes, yeah, I think so, and that's all you can do as a player. You can prove to the manager and to the club that you deserve. And I don't think Manchester United are a club that would just hand out new contracts, just to be nice. I think he can certainly add value over the next season or so, both with his experience, actually his attributes as a defender, and as someone that can be a threat in the opposition box, and a leader. They don't have many leaders, so he can be that player that can certainly help young players through and understand what the club stands for, what it's about. I think again that feels quite important still at the moment for Manchester United.
Yeah, absolutely. When so much of it is about mentality, to have someone with this confidence, it lifts the team, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, look, I don't know what he's like around the place, but whenever I've seen him in interviews, maybe not even in interviews, he seems such a humble guy. And I think again that's probably why he's had that great connection with Michael Carrick since coming in. Is that there's no frills around Harry Maguire. I bet he just comes in, does his job, super professional, can be relied upon in that sense, but he will still be judged by the performances when he puts that shirt on.
Just on Carrick, this week, Brian Mbeumo, Amad Diallo have backed him to get the job full-time. Do you think he should?
It really does depend who's available.
Does it depend on that?
I do. I honestly think it depends who else is available. No disrespect to Michael Carrick, he's done superbly since coming in. We've seen more of what we've all expected of Manchester United since he's come into the job. There's been certain games where they've fallen back slightly, but we've seen improvements in players that were there at the club, and that is a lot down to him. And they're looking like getting Champions League football as well, which would be a superb achievement for Michael Carrick coming into the club. But when there might be certain managers become available after a World Cup, I feel like he's been unfortunate in that timing, and I think Manchester United will wait.
Anyone in mind?
I mean, obviously there's Tuchel, of course, but signed with England. There's Ancelotti. There's plenty of incredible managers that will be part of the World Cup that could change after that tournament.
Okay. Well,
to come out so freely with the comments that he made, he's fallen into that trap that many players fall into, which is behind the scenes when there are talks and rumours. As players, as agents, let's not all be naive enough to think there isn't stuff going on in the background. And he's ultimately fallen foul of maybe a rumour, or maybe more than that, of what might happen next season, what the options could be. And he's come out and said some comments he certainly shouldn't have done, and he's gone very, very early on that. And, he's had the captain's armband on for a lot of the season. So you are that role model leading Chelsea, who paid a hell of a lot of money for him. He's on a fantastic contract as well. And so rightly so, he should have to come out and apologise to his teammates, to the club and to the supporters.
Does it feel almost like Liam Rossini may have won in this situation? What did you make of the fact that he banned Fernandes for 2 games? This is a big one coming up on Sunday against Manchester City. There has been a bit of mixed opinions on how he's treated the situation. What did you make of it?
He can't win. He can't win. He doesn't want one of his best players not to be involved, but at the same time he's trying to make a stand to the rest of the players that this is our captain that has made comments, and it simply isn't acceptable. And no matter the importance of games coming up, I have to make a point to the rest of the squad. Of course, Cucurella is one of those that has also made comments, and that's another situation, of course. But I feel for Liam Rossini because he's having to deal with this in the way that he feels fit to do so. But he was never going to win in this situation.
2 senior players as well in Cucurella and Fernandes speaking out a bit differently between them both. But as a new head coach, does it feel like Rossini needs to put his foot down and make it clear his intentions if this kind of behaviour goes on?
I think it's really important if players do come out and speak the way that they have done, that he makes a point that it's not okay. I think ultimately it's him that takes the brunt of the criticism if the team aren't playing well. It's not the players. The players can shuffle away and hide if they want to. It's the manager that's got to front up constantly that will take the brunt of that. And so he is going to, however his Chelsea career goes as a manager there, he'll look back and think, do you know what, at least I've done it my way with how I think things should be done, how the way that players at this football club under my management should act. At least then he can go, well, no, I've done that in the proper way, how I see fit. However Chelsea fans see Fernandes not being involved or not, I think that's strength from a manager. That's what I would want to see from my manager, because other players will look around, and if you let that go, other players then think, well, okay, he's weak. They do. That's how players would look at that situation.
Okay, and in terms of Fernandes, as you say, Chelsea spent a lot of money on him. Can you see why he's wanted by Real Madrid?
Yes, yeah. I mean, he's a terrific player. Obviously, an international, and a successful international at that, of course. I think there is leadership there, not in this, obviously, but I have seen leadership in the games in terms of wanting to take control of the games in front, in terms of not hiding in games, certainly. And he's got a huge amount of quality, and he's still quite young. So, of course, I can understand why he will constantly, and you are selfish as a player, you constantly want to better yourself, you want to get to the highest level you can and win the best trophies. So there is always going to be a selfishness, but there's a right way of doing things, and he's just got caught up in thinking, because there's pressure maybe from other clubs, from his agent. You as a player are the one that's got to front that, and I think he's made the wrong choice in saying something certainly so early.
Okay, well, yeah. So just to recap, the